There are moments in love where words disappear, and all that's left is how he holds you. How he looks at you when the lights are low and the world fades away. What if I told you that the way a man behaves in bed might say more about his love than anything he's ever spoken aloud? Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the Psyphos Depth channel and join our community exploring the deep unconscious truths behind love, intimacy, and transformation. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We'd love to hear from you. Now let's begin. Carl Jung believed that the soul speaks through symbols, instincts, and silent gestures. That when a man is truly in love, his unconscious doesn't hide. It reveals. Not in rehearsed lines or romantic gestures, but in the quiet, vulnerable ways his body softens around you. How he breathes with you. How he moves with you, not at you. You might not even notice it at first, but one of the clearest signs lives in his eyes. There's something raw and unfiltered about the gaze of a man who is emotionally bonded. During intimacy, if he looks into your eyes, not briefly, but deeply, as if trying to see your soul, it's not just desire, it's surrender. A kind of unspoken language that says, I see you, and I want you to see me too. This kind of eye contact is rare. Most people look at each other. But when a man is in love, he looks through the surface into the truth. His defenses melt. The parts of him he usually hides, fears, longing, tenderness, start leaking through. That stare becomes a confession. He might not even realize he's doing it. But in that moment, his soul is wide open. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's just the way his gaze lingers a second longer, or how his eyes soften when he's close to you. And it's not about intensity. It's about presence, about being with you, not just physically, but fully. In Jung's terms, this is the anima, the inner feminine coming alive, the part of him that longs not just to pursue, but to connect, to merge, to be known. When he allows himself to meet you there, eye to eye, it's no longer just two bodies, it's two truths touching. But if he can't meet your eyes, that's a different kind of revelation. Some men avoid eye contact in intimacy not because they don't feel something, but because they feel too much. Vulnerability can terrify someone who's spent their life hiding. His body may still respond. His words may sound sweet. But if his gaze drifts, if his eyes dart away like he's searching for an exit, it might be his unconscious trying to guard a part of himself he hasn't yet faced. That doesn't make him unworthy. It makes him human. But when his eyes meet yours and stay there, when there's no urge to escape, no performance to maintain, that's where real love breathes. Because to be fully seen and still stay present, that's devotion, that's depth, that's soul-level trust. And the truth is, the trust doesn't just show up in his eyes, it shows up in what he prioritizes. You'll know when his love runs deep by what he focuses on when the two of you are alone. Because lust takes, but love gives. And when a man is in love, he will shift. His attention will turn toward your pleasure, genuinely, instinctively, as if it's tied to his own. He won't just go through motions. He'll slow down. He'll listen, not just to your words, but to your breath, your body, your energy. He'll remember what makes you feel good and return to it, again and again, not out of strategy, but because your joy lights something in him. There's no scorekeeping here, no performance, just presence. Jung would say this is the shadow stepping aside, that unconscious self that clings to control, to taking, to guarding its ego. When love enters, that grip loosens. The primal gives way to the profound. It's no longer about conquest. It's about communion. You'll notice it in the little things. The way he checks in, not from insecurity, but from care. The way he asks, "Do you like that?" Not because he wants praise, but because he wants to please you. It's in the way he slows down when he senses you're not there yet, or pauses when he feels you need more. He doesn't rush, he aligns. This is not about technique. This is about truth. His desire becomes devotional, not performative, not pressured, present. That's the difference between sex and sacred touch. One is driven by need, the other by reverence. And if he makes space for your joy first, if he lingers instead of rushing toward his own release, then you are seeing his deeper nature unfold. The part that doesn't want just your body, but your trust, your openness, your light. He may never say it aloud, but in those moments, his actions are saying what his words haven't found. You matter to me, not just in bed, but in every place where love breathes. Jung believed that when a man begins to give without condition, he is no longer acting from ego. He is acting from essence. And perhaps the most revealing place that essence appears is in the silence that follows. Not the act, but the after. Those quiet minutes after intimacy hold more truth than any climax. The world goes quiet, and what's left is him. And how he chooses to hold you, or not, will tell you everything. When a man is emotionally invested, he doesn't turn away. He draws near, he touches differently, he speaks differently. Or maybe he doesn't speak at all, but the way he breathes against your neck, the way his fingers trace your shoulder, the way he exhales like he just let something heavy go. That's him. That's his soul. No longer performing, no longer chasing, just being. And when that moment comes, when he stays present instead of pulling away, know that you've touched something sacred in him, a place that few get to see, and fewer still get to hold. This is where his walls begin to fall, gently, unconsciously, and without fanfare. In those moments after love, when his breath is still finding rhythm and his thoughts are no longer curated, you see who he really is. Because in that stillness, there is no mask, no control, no script, just his soul lingering beside yours. He might share a story he's never told anyone, or he might just lie there, holding you like you're the anchor he didn't know he needed. He may not even know why he's opening up, but he does. Not because he has to, because he wants to. That's how you know you've reached the core. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious reveals itself not just in dreams, but in unguarded moments, when the ego loosens its grip and the real self steps forward. That's what post-intimacy affection reveals. Not the performance, but the presence. Not the act, but the aftermath. When a man loves you deeply, the vulnerability doesn't end when the physical stops. It begins. He stays close. He holds your hand without thinking about it. He might tuck your hair behind your ear or rest his head against yours, as if his body is still trying to say the things his words never could. That kind of closeness can't be rehearsed. It's the unconscious stepping into the light and saying, "You feel safe to me." It's an instinctive knowing that your presence calms something inside him. Not just desire, but unrest. And in your presence, he feels home. Compare that to what happens when love isn't there. The body may have been close, but the spirit stays miles away. He rolls over. He gets up. He reaches for his phone. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but it tells a story. One where connection ends the moment the act does. But when he lingers, when he sighs and stays, when his fingers continue to trace your back long after passion has faded. That's intimacy at its most honest, the part that can't be faked. And then, there's something even more mysterious, something that happens without words, without touch, without any conscious awareness. The fourth hidden sign reveals itself in how your bodies move together, not just in rhythm, but in resonance. You'll feel it in the way your breathing sinks without effort, the way your legs tangle naturally, the way your exhales seem to arrive at the same time. This isn't choreography, it's chemistry, beyond anything visible. Carl Jung called this a form of participation mystique, an ancient, almost mystical state of being where two individuals merge in unconscious harmony. It's not about technique, it's not about experience, it's about the body remembering a language older than speech. Two nervous systems aligning, two pulses finding common ground. That's not just physical attraction, that's soul memory. When he's deeply in love, his gestures echo yours. He moves not on you, but with you. There's a dance happening, but neither of you are leading. Something else is, something deeper. And that synchronicity becomes the language of your bond. You'll notice how he anticipates your movement before you even make it, how his hand finds yours without needing to search, how your laughter triggers his, how your silence feels shared, not empty. That's not coincidence, that's communion. The unconscious mind recognizes truth faster than logic ever can, and when it does, the body responds in kind. The breath slows, the limbs relax. The touch becomes less about pleasure and more about peace. It's not about climax, it's about coherence. And when you find yourself lying there, still and quiet, but feeling like the two of you are humming to the same invisible tune, that's when you know. This isn't just compatibility, it's something far more ancient. Jung believed that real love brings the anima and animus into harmony, that deep within every man is a hidden feminine self, and within every woman, a hidden masculine self. And when love is real, those two inner forces recognize each other. That's why he feels familiar, why the connection feels effortless, why the silence between you doesn't ask to be filled. Because you're not just touching skin, you're touching psyche. And his unconscious responds, not by rehearsing lines, but by relaxing into alignment, into trust. That's why when he's deeply in love, he doesn't need to say it all the time. His body already has, in the way he watches you sleep like you're made of light, in the way he presses his lips to your shoulder like a prayer, in the way he mirrors your breath without even knowing he's doing it. This is the sacred choreography of love, not scripted, not learned, just felt. And while words are beautiful and gestures can be romantic, these moments, there's something else. They're the places where love speaks without needing a voice. So if you've ever wondered how to know, really know if he's in love, don't just listen to what he says. Listen to the silence. Watch what his body reveals when his mind stops trying to manage the moment. That's where the truth lives. That's where you'll find the answers. There's a subtle shift that happens when love reaches the level of the unconscious. You stop thinking about what it should look like and start feeling what it is. There's no need to force meaning onto each word or decode every message, because the language of love, when it's real, is already speaking through energy, presence, rhythm, and trust. Jung understood this better than most. He knew that love isn't simply a conscious decision. It's a psychological unfolding, an integration of the self through another. That's why it can feel so overwhelming. Because when a man is truly in love, he's not just attracted to your body, he's drawn to the mirror you hold up to his inner world. You reflect something back to him he may not yet have the words to explain, and still, his actions speak anyway. It's why you might feel his arms tighten around you in the middle of the night, almost like a protective reflex, or how he starts to remember tiny details you thought he'd forgotten, like which side of the bed you prefer, or how your breath catches when you're about to cry but trying not to. It's not that he's trying to memorize you, it's that he's attuned to you. And that attunement isn't taught, it's felt. Carl Jung called this attunement the activation of the transcendent function, a bridge between what we consciously intend and what we unconsciously feel. In love, this function opens a portal, one that makes us not only more ourselves, but more available to transformation. That's why love, when it's deep, always changes us. It's supposed to. For a man, this transformation can look like softness in places he used to guard, vulnerability in moments he used to shut down, the willingness to stay, to sit with discomfort, to listen, not because he has the answers, but because he's stopped trying to escape the questions. And you'll see it not just in what he does when things are good, but how he holds space when things get messy, how he responds when your walls go up, how he navigates your pain without trying to fix it. If he can stay emotionally present without retreating into silence or solutions, that's when you know. He's not just in the relationship, he's in it with you. This is the difference between love rooted in fantasy and love built in reality. Fantasy wants perfection. Reality embraces complexity. Fantasy says, "You complete me." Real love says, "I see all of you, and I'm not going anywhere." And in bed, this difference becomes stark. In fantasy, sex is performance. In love, sex is expression. When a man is deeply in love, physical connection becomes an extension of emotional commitment. It's less about sensation and more about sacredness. It's not how fast he moves. It's how present he is while moving. Not whether he can impress you, but whether he can meet you. This level of connection isn't something he broadcasts. He probably doesn't even realize he's doing it. That's what makes it beautiful. There's no manipulation here, no choreography. Just unconscious loyalty showing up as closeness, touch, slowness, and breath. A kind of emotional fidelity that says, "I'm right here and nowhere else." And sometimes, this truth gets revealed most clearly in contrast. Maybe you've had encounters where the chemistry was there, but the connection wasn't. Where the act felt good, but afterward left you feeling emptier, not fuller. That's because real love doesn't leave residue. It leaves resonance. And when it's real, it doesn't just live in the bedroom. It echoes outside of it. You'll notice he checks in with you more. Not in a possessive way, but in a way that says, "I care about your inner world." He starts opening up in ways he never has before. Sharing parts of his past, his dreams, his fears, not to impress you, but to invite you. This is the unconscious mind trusting. And when it doesn't open the door halfway. It swings it wide open. That's when he starts mirroring you in ways neither of you can explain. Picking up your phrases, adopting your rhythms, laughing before the punchline hits, reaching for your hand without needing to ask. You're not just close, you're merged. Still two people, but somehow also one. Jung would say this is the anima and animus in harmony. The internal masculine and feminine energies inside each of us recognizing their counterpart in another. When this happens, love is no longer just a choice. It's a remembering. That's why it can feel like fate. Like the two of you always existed, just hadn't met yet. But Jung also reminds us, projection is the beginning, not the end. Falling in love is projection. Staying in love requires integration. That means not just loving the beautiful parts, but holding space for the shadows, the doubts, the wounds, the fear of being left, the ache of being seen too clearly. And when he stays through all that, when his affection doesn't waver the moment your softness becomes sharp, or your joy turns to silence, you know his love isn't surface level. It's rooted, it's tested, it's chosen. And what's most incredible? You'll feel this not through what he says, but in how your body responds. You'll find yourself relaxing more, trusting more, breathing deeper. Because your unconscious has picked up on something before your conscious mind even finishes the thought. You are safe here. That's the message his love sends, not with grand gestures, but with consistency. And in that safety, your softness can rise, your nervous system can rest, your soul can begin to open in ways it never could before. This is the love Jung pointed to, not a love of fantasy or control, but of transformation. One where the unconscious steps forward, not to possess, but to partner. And in that partnership, something remarkable happens. You stop questioning whether you're loved and start experiencing that love in a way that feels undeniable, cellular, and sacred. Not because he's told you 1,000 times, but because your body has already answered. You feel it in the way you exhale without even knowing you were holding your breath. You sense it when you move around him and no longer brace for disappointment. This is what Jung called the return to wholeness through connection, not dependence, not obsession, but mutual evolution. When a man is deeply in love, his inner world begins to shift. The armor he's worn for decades doesn't fall off all at once. It softens, and you'll notice it in the smallest moments. The way he listens differently when you speak from your pain, or how his jaw loosens when you touch his face gently, as if no one's done that before without expectation. You become his sanctuary, but more than that, he allows you to be. That's the real shift, not just in feeling love, but in allowing love to change how he shows up. He begins to mirror your calm, your warmth, your softness, not as imitation, but as a kind of homecoming. Because when love is real, it doesn't just make you feel good. It makes you feel safe enough to be true, to be flawed, to be whole. And that's when the unconscious begins to do its most powerful work. You'll catch him in these tender moments of unintentional care, stroking your back when you're asleep, waking before you just to lie still and watch you breathe, kissing your forehead and not knowing why. He's not putting on a show. There is no one watching. It's just him, and it's just you. And that's when you realize, this is what presence feels like. Not distraction, not performance, not a checklist of romantic gestures. Just two souls sharing time, space, and breath in the most natural rhythm. This kind of connection isn't rare because it's impossible. It's rare because most people are too afraid to slow down enough to feel it, too afraid of being seen, of being vulnerable, of being real. But he's not afraid anymore. He may still carry fears, wounds, hesitations. But something in you called something in him to the surface. And now, even if he doesn't say it with clarity, his body is saying it over and over again. You matter to me. And here's the most profound truth. When a man is emotionally bonded, he doesn't leave the room when it gets hard. He leans in. He doesn't avoid your silence. He enters it. He doesn't shrink away from your questions. He listens. He doesn't try to fix your sadness. He holds it with you. That's love made visible. That's the unconscious aligning with the conscious in service of something deeper than both. And yes, he will still have moments of withdrawal. He will still stumble into old habits. But the difference now is that he returns. His pull toward you is no longer just physical, it's psychological, it's archetypal, it's soul deep. You are not his escape. You are his mirror, his reflection, his reminder. In Jungian terms, this is not merely attraction. This is the self recognizing its other half. This is not fantasy. It's wholeness, knocking from the inside. You begin to realize that when a man is in love like this, he wants to be close. Not just in skin, but in soul. And that longing begins to transform everything. His decisions, his energy, even his dreams. He may not know the language of love like a poet, but his unconscious is fluent. And if you're watching carefully, you'll see the signs everywhere. The way he lingers when you talk. The way he laughs with his whole body when he's with you. The way his voice softens when he says your name. Not because he's trying to make you fall in love, because he already has. Jung once wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." And that's what love is here to do. Not to complete you, but to change you. To wake up the parts of you that forgot what it feels like to be received. To open the doors you closed long ago because no one ever knocked with kindness. He is knocking now. With every gaze that lingers longer than needed. With every gentle brush of his hand against yours. With every breath that slows down beside you as you drift to sleep. You don't need to rush this. You don't need to name it. The unconscious has already spoken. And love, true love, rarely arrives with loud declarations. It shows up in the silent rituals of care, in the micro movements of trust, in the quiet decision to stay. So if he stays, if his body remains attuned to yours, even when the lights go off and the music fades, if his soul keeps turning toward you in moments that ask for honesty instead of charm, you've already heard the answer, and you don't need to ask again.